Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. You know, every couple of months we try to give you an update of what we've been doing and the projects we've been working on here. People seem to like that, kind of seem fascinated by it. This is our 1953 Cunningham, built by Briggs Cunningham. We're doing a full ground-up restoration on this. It was a nice original car. If you watched the last restoration blog, you saw that. You can go back and check and see what it looked like. It'd been in storage since 1968. The nice thing is it had never been damaged, which is very fortunate because these fenders are welded to the frame. So it's a lot of work if you dent it. We've redone the grille. No, the grille is not gold. That's just copper. We're getting ready for plating. We just had to straighten everything and remanufacture a few of the bars and a few other things. The engine is in, which looks great. That's the big 331 Chrysler Hemi. This is the engine that came in the car. The drivetrain is original. Well, engine is anyway. This had a two-speed Chrysler, that semi-automatic with a clutch. Pretty awful. We put our favorite transmission in this, the Tremec, and we can go back to the automatic at any point. The only thing we've kept original at this point is this breather cover, which just has a little bit of rust on it. We just like to keep one part of the car kind of as it was. But everything in here is just been cleaned up and repainted, so it's not like we did a lot of changes. We didn't make the engine any bigger. It's the 331. We had it on the dyno. You probably saw that on the last blog. We got 300 horsepower out of it. Come around this side, I'll show you. Okay, Jimmy, our fabricator, has done a beautiful job making a new transmission tunnel for us here. We got our Tremec, and we have our pedals in. Still one of the most beautiful dashboards. I love the gauges on this. This is the one car, no matter how blind you are, you don't need your glasses to drive it because these gauges are just giant right in your face. The original Ford radio, that's just a Ford radio, an AM radio that it came with. I just kept that. We've dynamatted everything just to keep it quiet. Dynamat works great as an insulator, also for heat as well as noise. The wheels are on. Steering columns in. We did make up a set of headers for it, and we still have to make the exhaust system. So that's next. So that's where we are in this project. As you can see, these are the original colors. The cool thing about Cunningham is he built something like 32 cars. I think it's 32 or 33, and every single one of them exists. Not one was wrecked, so that's kind of cool. So they're all on the road, or at least they're all around. They're all accounted for, is probably what I should say. So next time we do this one, we should be driving it. Let's go over here. This is my 71 911T. As I mentioned in the last update we did, this car was parked in a garage, actually an underground garage in Beverly Hills, a condo. A guy bought the car new in '71, and he kept it at his mother's condo in Beverly Hills in an underground parking space. It was parked, I guess, in the late 90s. It was one of those deals where you park right against the wall and somebody else parks behind you. And then he lost the key, and then the tires went flat, and then I don't know whether he moved away or whatever. Anyway, the car just sat and sat. When the owner finally passed away, I got a call from his wife, when I like to buy it. And I went down and looked at it, and being a California car, the most important thing in Porsche, it was 100% rust-free. There wasn't an ounce of rust on this car. It's a well-used car, well over 100,000 miles on it. But the original paint, now we just buffed up this little area to see how well it would hold up. And it looks fantastic. I mean, because it wasn't subjected to the sun and didn't sit outside, it sat in a dark room for 20 years, 25 years. Interior was a little tatty, so we're doing up the interior. Stoddard out of Ohio there, they have all the Porsche stuff. They do a great job. So we're getting a lot of the replacement pieces from them. Just did the rear seat. Still have the front seat to do and a few other things. But it's coming along good, and this thing should be running the next time we check in with you. Now here's something really unusual. As you can see, it's hard to figure out what my tastes are, because these three cars couldn't be more different. This is my 1958 Chrysler Imperial, probably one of the biggest cars ever produced, well, not just in America, just about anywhere. The last year of the big Hemi engine, we're putting disc brakes on the front. I'm sorry, there's some things you just have to do if you want to drive these things on the street. This is an enormously huge car. It's pretty heavy, 5,000 pounds, something like that. So you want to be able to stop, and you want to have a modern braking system. In fact, when you go to most car meets, they do not deduct points if you've upgraded the brakes. And we'll put a dual master cylinder on it too. You don't want to have the brakes fail on this thing when you're going downhill. But as you can see, it's so hilariously big. It's very funny. But it's a nice, straight, original car. And the funny thing is, if you've been to my website, my 67 Chrysler Imperial, the one I bought from the old movie producer in Hollywood, well, this was also his car. He owned this one too, obviously previously to owning the 67. And Clark Gable drove this car, and Frank Sinatra drove this car. He was a big Hollywood party guy. And allegedly there are pictures of Sinatra and Gable and all these guys in this thing. I haven't found the pictures yet, but when I get them, you'll be the first to know. But as you see, it's pretty straight. It had a kind of a crummy repaint. I'm going to repaint it and probably upgrade it a little bit, redo some of the seats. You know, they only built like 631 of these, something like that. And the funny thing about these cars were, these were really desirable for demolition derbies, because Chrysler Imperials were so massively overbuilt that guys would just enter demolition derbies of these, to the point where a lot of demolition derbies said, no, no Imperials, that's cheating. No, you can come with Fords and Chevys and Oldsmobiles, but no Imperials, because you're going to win, because these things are pretty bulletproof. So that's pretty much the story. It's got a little body rod on it. It's probably got, well, the chrome is actually not bad. You know, it's a great thing about California, but some of it's a little pitted. And once you paint it and fix it up, then you got to go back and do all of this. So we'll get there. We'll get there. And of course, the one that George is working on for us is this one over here. You remember the 122 Volvo? Remember the one we're going to turn into the Polestar race car? Well, here it is right here. We've had it powder coated. We've had it sort of bead blasted and cleaned up. George, how's it look, all right?
Good.
Yeah, yeah.
Rust-free car.
Yeah, this is a nice rust-free car, just like the Porsche. It's a great thing about California, you know? Stuff will sit out in the desert, and the plastic will crack and break, and the upholstery will tear, but they don't rust, and that's the most important thing. So, and nothing wrong with this car that, what, 640 horsepower won't cure. So that's where we are with this. We got a lot of projects going. Let's check in with some of the motorcycles. Come on over here. Well, here are a couple of the motorcycle projects. You know, remember I said we're just going to clean the Bruff Superior up a little bit. Well, you know, one thing leads to another, and then you fire it up, and hey, what's that noise? And let's go into the transmission. Let's go. So finally, we just tore the whole engine down, and it wasn't bad inside, but the piston looked like it had been scraping the side a little bit. It wasn't getting lubrication. So we're just we sent the cylinders out. We got some new liners for them, got new pistons. We'll put that back together. That's the same problem with this one here. This is a much later Bruff Superior. This is the matchless Bruff. And this one is a nice old girl, but once it gets up to 60 miles an hour, once it gets hot, it started to feel a little tight on me, and I would, you know, almost like a soft seize, you know, and I would pull the clutch in a little bit and it'd cool down. Then it'd be, so this is going to get the same treatment. And this one over here, this looks pretty bad, but this is kind of a rare piece. This is a 1967 BSA. It's the Spitfire model. They used to call it the hot one in the ads, you know. It's got the high pipes that come along here, and the high pipes are perfect. The tank is actually pretty good. It has this classic, this is one of my favorite gas tanks of all time. It's nice, original. See, it says BSA 650 Spitfire, Spitfire Special, you know, it's kind of, because most of the bikes of the period had the chrome tank. This had a fiberglass tank. So I thought this was kind of cool. So I got this from a gentleman named Jack down in Florida. He wanted to go to a good home. So we'll go through it, and the chrome will clean up nicely. This is what happens when you leave a bike in a shed in Florida. It's so humid, all the chrome gets pitted, but the bike is actually pretty good. It's not bad at all, not bad at all. So those are 3 more projects. So let's show you what else we got going. This is a bike you may have seen in the background in quite a few of the videos we do. It's a 1941 Indian, 4-cylinder with a sidecar. You know, fabulous bike to drive. It's the best sidecar bike ever. It really is nice. Just all kinds of low-end torque, easy to start, fun to drive. But we'll do a whole piece on this one pretty soon. And you might remember the last time we did this update, Bernard was just starting to get his sidecar together. Well, he's got it painted, and look at this. Look at this paint job. There you go. Now, before we get to the chassis, I see Bernard has made this whole, but you made the body for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and but you didn't paint it. You brought in some pretty cool guys, huh?
Yeah, we brought in the two best painters in the country for flames.
Yeah.
Mike Lavelli and Mickey Harris. And they did the flame job on it.
Wow, look at that.
Check out the front.
Trouble is now you don't know when you're on fire. You know, you go, hey, there's flame. Hey, there's a flame in it. That's okay. No. So, as you remember, last year, Bernard won the sidecar championship with the other bike, which you sold.
Yep.
Now you've made the whole bike yourself. Come on, let's show you what he's done over here. Here we go. Now, Bernard designed and fabricated the whole chassis himself here at the shop. So, it's pretty exciting. So, he's got some races coming up. We'll see how it does. But it'll be the best looking one out there, won't it?
I think so.
Yeah, it
It'll
looks
be
pretty
unique,
cool.
that's for sure.
And what motor are we using?
We're using a Yamaha R1 2012.
Okay. And the engine's pretty much basically stock, huh?
The engine is stock. We did flash the ECU, so we
Okay.
get rid of some of the limitations that it had for street use.
Right. And of course, obviously the body sets right on here, and boom. In fact, we just we were out at Willow Springs for the Jay Leno's Garage on the CNBC show, and that was fun.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't painted yet.
No, you haven't lived till you
Quite
spun out on one of these on Willow Springs like I did, but very cool. Well, come on, we'll show you last couple of things we got going. You remember our Merlin Spitfire-powered 1932 Rolls P2 chassis? This is it here. This is new. This has been on since the last time you saw it. Radiator's on. Now it's mostly just detail stuff. As you can see, the water lines are in. Dashboard is done. Dashboard's looking pretty cool. The doors have been done. This is how you started the Merlin back in the day. It was called the shower of sparks. You spun this real quickly while you're cranking it, and that throws sparks everywhere. Hopefully one catches, boom, and then the thing fires off. This is new. The doors are in here, so you got this armrest here. It should be pretty cool. We have our we got 55 gallons of gasoline in this thing. So that's kind of cool. It'll have wood in here, and the dash will be wood too. So it'll look like a proper Rolls-Royce. And like a proper Rolls-Royce, the power will be adequate. Something around, what do you think? We should get 900, 1,000 horsepower?
1,000 horsepower.
1,000 horsepower. That seems sensible. 1,000 horsepower. Well, let's go to something that has almost no horsepower. This is another project. Now, this is a 1960 Nash Metropolitan. You've seen these things, and everything from Pee Wee Herman movies to every other kind of thing. My wife loves these. This is going to be a surprise. I'm going to fix it up and paint it for her. She never watches these videos, so don't have to worry about giving anything away. But you know the great thing about having this website, you hear from an awful lot of lovely people who have old cars that don't run anymore, the engine's missing, and they can't bring themselves to part with it. And they say, Jay, if I give it to you, will you restore it? Because I don't sell anything. I like to fix it up. So what I'm going to do, we're going to get this all fixed up and get it running nicely, and I'll go down and take the nice lady I got it from for a ride, and then that's what she wants. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. So it's all there, though. Once again, nice straight California car. I mean, the paint is bad, obviously, and the upholstery is all chewed up, but the car itself doesn't appear to have ever been damaged, ever been hit. So this is a classic Leno project. You take a car that's not worth anything, you put 20, 30 grand into it, and it's worth 12.5, just like that. So that's basically what this is here. Oh, right over here, our Mercedes 600, remember we're putting the supercharger, or a different supercharger in it? It did have a supercharger on it, but it was awful loud, and it just didn't keep with the spirit of the car. These are supposed to be silent and swift. It was a gear-driven supercharger, extremely noisy, so we got another supercharger that has ceramic bearings in it, so it doesn't require any lubrication. There's no oil line to it, and it's pretty quiet. So Bernard's been putting that together, so let's see where we are here. Well, Bernard had to, well, obviously the fan and everything's been off, had to pull the water pump to get it, but we had to pull that big pulley off of there and then add our own on here in the end. It just barely clears it, doesn't it?
Yeah, we got about eighth of an inch.
About
on
an
there.
eighth of an inch.
So we've added that Gilmer belt pull,
Right.
so we can drive the supercharger with a Gilmer
And the
belt.
supercharger will be right here.
Supercharger's going to come sit in here.
It'll sit like that. Basically, that's how it'll work. And it'll be even faster than it was before. I don't know why it needs to be so fast, but everything should be faster. And, and speaking of fast, probably the car that will go from being the slowest to one of the fastest is the ones we started with last time. We're going to finish up with it now. Come on, I'll show it to you. Once again, this is the 1914 Detroit Electric. Not a lot of peers have been done since the last time we were here, and truth be told, we have been busy doing the Cunningham and some of the others, but we're getting there. This will have, well, for all intents and purposes, Tesla power. We've got an engine going into this thing, or electric motor, sorry. It's 10 times more powerful than what was in it originally. So, and it's got air conditioning. I'm not sure if we showed you this last time. Come on over here. There's the air conditioning unit. And it'll have Bluetooth and satellite radio and all of that. Because it's going to be a car. It'll be a commuter car. And let me show you back here. We have our modern controllers. As I mentioned in the last go-around, we've got lithium-ion batteries out of a Nissan Leaf. Nissan was kind enough to help us out there. And it's coming along good. So once we get all our controllers in and our sound system, and it'll be like a modern car that just looks so... I mean, it's really the classic example of a restomod, you know, and I think you'll see more and more people restomodding electric cars because the fun thing is the original motor, which is right there, the original motor is this motor, except this motor has 10 times the power, so consequently you don't have to do a lot of modifications to the chassis or anything. Everything pretty much sort of fits in place. So that's about it for now. I hope you enjoy these little restomods. People seem to like it when we do these updates. I enjoy reading the comments. I do read them all. And no, I don't own any other clothes. And no, I'm not going to comb my hair because it's a garage. So, you know, if you're worried about my clothes and my hair, maybe you want to go to one of those other fashion blog things.